I've not long got done with the Visions of Mana demo, and in today's video I am going to talk about that experience with you all. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As always, got you covered with timestamps, so if there's a certain section you want to skip to, feel free to do so. All I ask is for you to support the channel and hit that like button, and if you like the content you see, then please consider hitting that subscribe button as well. So this demo was a select portion of the game, so we got a little bit of the story and a little bit of the characters as well. In a nutshell, there's not much to say because when I play a demo, I don't really engage with the story that much, but what is on display here certainly piques my interest. There are certain characters that I want to know more of, and of course I want to know this world a lot more better and this journey to the Mana Tree. Let's flip on to what I think is the thing that got a lot of people interested in this game, and that's the visuals, because it looks beautiful, and now that I have had the opportunity to play it and you can see it here, it looks beautiful. It really does. So you have a selection of either playing in performance mode, so you get that graphic fidelity, or you can play in the enhanced frame rate mode. I'm not too fussed when it comes to visuals, but I will point out things that I've noticed. I played in the frame rate mode because I feel like if you've got a combat heavy game, that the frame rate is always nice to have. That being said, whenever I went into a cutscene, I couldn't help but notice that the frame rate seemed a little bit slower, a little bit choppier in places. I don't know if that's just me or if that is a thing. I don't know if that translates well with what you can see on screen now, but that's the only thing I've noticed. But it wasn't enough to kind of make me go, ugh, I'm not playing this. I'm not playing the full release. No, it didn't bother me too much, but I'm pointing it out. But apart from that, all was good in the visual department for me. So let's move on to the meat of this game, and that is the gameplay. And I want to start off with the exploration. Man, I did not expect what I was diving into, because these zones were massive. They looked absolutely gorgeous, and I just wanted to dive in and explore. You get given a mount quite early on, and I was like, no, I'm not using the mount. I'm walking around and I'm exploring, because usually when I get a mount in a game, I go straight to my quest objective and skip a lot of stuff. So I took these zones in, and we start off in a nice snow zone, and then we went into a bit more of an open field, a lot more grass, a lot more green, a lot more vibrant colors, and it was really truly something to explore. When it comes to exploring, there's chests, there's elemental crystals to do with the elementals that you already have on them. Some of them are not accessible because we don't have the elements yet, so that incentivizes backtracking when you get the elements, which is nice. There were trials to kind of do combat trials with your elements as well. I lost every single one of them, but they're there, and it's an incentive to get stronger and get good with the combat. There are many items to collect just by jumping around or going into every little nut and cranny, and I love that. If I see a shiny thing in the distance, I'm going to go straight over to it and pick it up, because you never know what it might be. Not only that, there are side quests scattered everywhere. Some of these might be just defeat a bunch of enemies, collect this item, find this item, and the overall kind of UI experience when it comes to side quests, it was a bit finicky at first for me because I didn't know where I was going, but as soon as I activated that side quest as a priority, I looked on the map, I knew where I needed to go, and it was all good from there. Not only that, there are rare mobs about, and these mobs have unique names, and some of them are quite tough, and when I talk about the combat, some of these were quite exhilarating and exciting as well. Also, there is fast travel, and I really like the way it works. So essentially, you come across these nice looking tree things. I don't know what the official term for them is right now, but you activate them and you can go back and forth between them freely. So for example, if I go into my map menu, I can go to any one of those locations in the map that I'm in an instant. If I want to go to a previous zone that I visited, I must go to one of those trees to do that. And I really like the flexibility of that. It makes side questing a lot easier. If there's something you've missed, if there's elemental crystals that you want to go back to, this is going to be a system. It's going to be quite the time saver, and I'm very, very grateful that it's in the game. Another thing that I like when exploring big zones in games is filling in the gaps with party banter. It didn't matter where I was going, the party were always talking about something, whether it's the look of the flowers or just the quest of where we were heading. It's really nice to have. It fills in those big gaps of just traversing big zones. And then most importantly, we get to a town here in the demo, and this town feels like a town. There are many NPCs you can talk to, there are shops that you can visit, there is the dancing shopkeeper, he is here and it's keeping that mana trait alive with his dancing skills. It's all here and I really like the vibe, and overall exploration in Visions of Mana was a treat. But let's move on to the combat of Visions of Mana, because there's a lot of stuff to go over. First off the bat here, I thought this felt quite clunky and slow at first, but as I was learning more of the mechanics of the game, I became quite grateful for the fact that it was a little bit slower than I was expected. Though when playing as Val, it really felt pretty sluggish because he has the big sword, so I switched straight over to Morley because he had the daggers. He's a little bit faster and I really did like his combat style. But yes, it feels more natural over time as you learn the shortcuts and everything else that you have at your disposal, and then it started to feel quite snappy and fast, and I was pulling off combos and they're pretty damn satisfying. I like the fact that we can freely switch, so if I wanted to switch over to Val or if I wanted to switch over to Karina, I could do that in an instant if I wanted to switch things up a bit, but I didn't use it as much as you would have thought. Just by clicking the R2 button you get to use your elemental attack, and while playing as Morley, his elemental attack was slowing down time ever so briefly, so gathering up enemies in one spot, throwing that elemental attack and then using my usual attacks and my shortcut commands really made battles feel very satisfying, and it was always nice to pull it off. Val had a wind boomerang which definitely helped out as well during battle, and then there's the special attacks. When you fill up a certain bar, you hit the L2 button and you get this awesome attack. Morley was just decimating things left, right and center, and again just overall added to the satisfaction of combat. There's probably many things that I've not even dove into or explored yet, and that is the beauty of the combat here, because there's so much as we look through the menus of Visions of Mana, and I don't think at any time it felt overwhelming. I think it felt overwhelming just at first, but again, naturally over time, I became quite accustomed to it. And also, I always love the fact that we have smooth transitions into battle and out of battle. So you see the enemies, you activate combat, you win, you get a nice little splash screen of the EXP you've gained and just the results screen in general, and then you can carry on exploring once again. Always nice to have that in an RPG like this. So let's go over the menus, which is still in the gameplay here because there's a lot to go over. There's a lot of customization. You've got the gear, you've got the elemental vessels that you can equip, you've got the moves you can equip to the shortcut wheel, and then you also have the ability seeds as well. Let's try and break that down ever so briefly. Gear, very self-explanatory. I remember getting some daggers for Morley and I was like, these daggers do not look that great. But the fact that you can change the appearance of the weapons, that was instantly solved for me as a problem. So I like that little touch there. But elemental vessels essentially is changing the job of your character. Straight off the bat, you will have Val as the Rune Knight and you have Morley as the Nightblade, but you can switch them over if you want to have the elementals and each of the other characters. Karina, you can't really equip anything to Karina that I could find, but it's nice to mix up. I just stuck with what the game presented to me and had a good time from there. Moves, pretty self-explanatory. You can gain moves and add them to the shortcut wheel. Whatever preference you have is where you want to go with it. And then we have the ability seeds, which took me a little bit more longer to get used to what they were actually doing. But then when I realized that some ability seeds will give me a new move, or it might give me a passive ability in battle, I was looking what the best combination was, and I'm sure there's so much you can explore when it comes to those ability seeds. We also have elemental plots, which is essentially like as we get more experience and more points, we can learn more abilities and more passives for our characters. Again, adding in to that customization when it comes to the characters. I don't think we're even scratching the surface when it comes to this demo, but we also have the fact that we can program the AI, and it's quite in depth of what we can do. There's probably a lot to mess around with. I didn't touch it and I didn't have a problem with what my AI was doing, but let's say I wanted Karina to really concentrate on healing, I could do that, and that's always nice to have. Now that's all of gameplay out of the way, and I want to talk about the music. The music was beautiful here. I really like the unique music that played when we went into certain rare mobs on the field, and I can't wait to see what this soundtrack presents to us as we dive in deeper to Visions of Mana. And that's about it when it comes to my thoughts of Visions of Mana. I really enjoyed my time with this demo, and I think I'm locked in for the full release when it comes out at the end of this month. I am very interested to hear your thoughts. There are a few things here and there that can definitely be improved upon, but overall, I'm a happy chappy when it comes to Visions of Mana. So I thank you for watching. If you enjoy this content and want to see more, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting the like button, getting involved in the comment section below, and until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.